Everyone, this is Christopher with a very special Orphan Entertainment. Regular listeners have heard me talk about the Columbus Moving Picture Show, which is happening Memorial Day weekend in Columbus, Ohio. I wanted to learn even more about this thing, and I figured you guys might like to know a little bit more about it too, and I decided the best way to do that is actually talk to the director of the Columbus Moving Picture Show, Samantha Glasser. So she was very kind and gave me some time out of what I'm sure is a very busy schedule right now, with the thing only weeks away. So let's jump right into it and hear from Samantha. Samantha Glasser, thank you so much for joining me here on Orphan Entertainment.
Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure to talk to you. I feel a little bit of ashamed that I only just this year learned about the Columbus Moving Picture Show Festival. And I wish the reason was that it has only been around a couple years. But that's not the case, is it?
Well, I mean, truthfully, this is our fifth year. It really hasn't been around that long in the grand scheme of things. But before it was the Columbus Moving Picture Show, it was Cinevent, which was around for 52 years. But you're not the only person who's never heard of it. A lot of people, unless you're really, really hardcore into the old movie hobby or archiving or collecting, you might not have heard of it.
Yeah, I thought I was until I found out about this thing. Yeah, I don't think I had even heard about Cinevent, and that was around for a long time. Now, you went from, if I remember reading your bio right, you went from just a festival attendee, and now you're the director.
Yeah, that was sort of out of necessity because what happened when I first started, there was a group of people that had been doing this since the 60s. And so over time, they started dying off. And, the children of one of the founders, Steve Haynes, his son Michael took it over for a few years out of necessity. Steve died in 2015. There was also a disaster at the hotel that had hosted it for many years where we were unable to have the event there. And so Michael had to scramble and find a new hotel to host it and put it on. And so a lot of people kind of stepped up around that time to take on more of a helper role to make sure that the show would continue at that point. And I was one of those people. My role was pretty small back then, but it just grew over time to the point that when Michael was ready to step down, he said, "All right, well, I'll give you the tools you need if you want to kind of make a spin-off show," which is what the Columbus Moving Picture Show is.
Oh, awesome! So Cinevent was that thing. So when it comes to the Columbus Moving Picture Show, this really is kind of your baby.
Yes. Yeah. So it's absolutely patterned after Cinevent. My hope is that when people walk in the door, and they still call it Cinevent. And that's sort of my intention. I want it to feel like that because Cinevent was such a haven for me. It was such a home to find other people who actually knew these movies and cared about these movies the way that I did was it was such an amazing feeling. It was like finding heaven on earth. It was great. So, so I wanted to duplicate that as much as possible in the types of movies that we showed, that we were showing real film, that we had live piano for the silent movies. Keeping the dealer room big and like you're walking into this wonderland, like a museum almost, but it's things that you can buy. And then the thing that I sort of expanded on, they had started to include like historians, scholars, authors who would come and introduce the films in relation to a project that they had done. So Scott Eyman has been attending for decades. He would write, a book about John Wayne or John Ford, and so they would try to do tie-ins with things that he had worked on. So I expanded on that, where we still include people like that. This year, Scott Eyman's going to be talking about Joan Crawford, but also giving them a platform to do sort of an expanded format of a talk, not just like a 5-10 minute introduction to a film. Now they can talk for 45 minutes to an hour on a topic. And so we have seminars to sort of do that.
Excellent. That sounds fantastic. I did want to ask though, going from an attendee to actually a director, and running a festival, do you feel like it kind of gave you a sort of insight as to what works and what doesn't work for a good festival?
Definitely. I think we've run into a lot of challenges over the year that I didn't expect to have or that I hoped not to have. The climate for movies, the entertainment industry in general has changed so much. We didn't anticipate that so much would be available streaming on, YouTube or
Mhm.
wherever. And then on the other hand, you have things like Turner Classic Movies they might be in jeopardy, they might not, maybe their formats are changing. They're not showing as many rarities, which rarities are something that we really focus on. We want to spotlight movies that don't necessarily get the praise they deserve or things that have been difficult to see for a long time. That gets harder as time goes on, as more things get released on home video or just, come out on YouTube. Sometimes people don't necessarily care about the quality of the thing
Mhm.
that they're going to watch, just as long as they get to see it. So, trying to emphasize quality presentations has been important to us. But really, like, the community is so important. And it makes me really sad that it seems to be that the shift in people are so comfortable to just stay at home and discuss things on the internet and not
Right.
necessarily in person. That's great. I'm so glad that that's available. I discovered Cinevent because I was on the internet on forums talking to people there. But the experience in person is so important and so much a part of what we do and why we do it. So, yeah, I think just the climate has changed a lot. Finding hotels that have enough event space now to host us has been really difficult.
Mm.
And a lot of hotels that hosted the show when it was Cinevent in the past have been torn down. So people are moving from, um, other revival shows. A lot of them are nonprofits now, and a lot of them are funded through grant money and universities and things like that. So they don't necessarily do what we do is a 4-day convention where you can just indulge. There's so much to see and so much to do in those 4 days. You couldn't possibly see all of it. Whereas I think a lot of other festivals, they'll show one movie a night for a week, which is great, but you don't have that immersive, indulgent
Mhm.
experience that you do at a convention. So it's different. It's different than it was back in the day. I'm trying to maintain as much of that feeling of like a 1970s, 1980s convention as we possibly can.
Well, I know one of the things that you do is you make a point to show all the films on film, on 16 millimeter film.
Hmm.
I would imagine that gets to be difficult to find that media for the films. So, are you ever tempted to kind of explore and allow other formats just to help broaden what you can show at the festival?
Well, so we have shown some digital in the past. It's sort of usually in conjunction with a special presentation. If we have a special guest and that's the only format that we have available to us, then we will go digital. But we try as hard as we can to do 16 because to us that experience of having the projector on in the background is really special, and
Hmm.
it's something you can't get in a regular theater anymore. It used to be that everything was 35 millimeter if you went to the movie theater, and that's a rare occurrence now, and they actually advertise when they're showing things on film because it's a novelty now. 16 is our format because it's always been our format. It's a collector show at home kind of format. It's a higher level than like an 8 millimeter
Hmm.
presentation. But our show is entirely sourced by private collectors. We don't source from archives. We have here and there in the past, but for the most part, these are private collections. People are making them available to us. So I think because Cinevent has been around so long and it earned a reputation for being, a safe place to lend your films. uh, and I think so. Cinnamon actually started as a bunch of collectors getting together to trade, and they would just run things, whatever people wanted to sell or whatever they. Oh, let me see if that print's actually good. Can you run it for me? So that's how it really began, and it grew into something more formal. So we honor that spirit of just a bunch of film collectors getting together to show off what they have. But we do have it scheduled ahead of time, and we have a program book so that you can read about the background details of each film.
Oh, excellent. Very good. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to immersing myself in this. I feel like I'm just going to be in like hog heaven, but I'm also going to be like, I have no idea what is going on.
I hope you'll be overwhelmed in a good way.
Yes, no, I do believe it's going to be a fantastic experience. Now, all the silent films that you're showing, and this is so cool, you're providing live accompaniment, piano
Mhm.
accompaniment with the films.
Mhm.
That I think
Yeah.
is so awesome because that just talk about an immersive experience. And that is something that, people couldn't get, haven't been able to get in a lot of cases since these films were originally shown.
Yeah, we definitely we have two great pianists, David Drazen, who does a lot of work for Grapevine Video. He does a lot of scores. If you've ever purchased anything from them, you might have heard his music. He does a lot of film festivals. And then we have Dr. Philip Carley, who works at the George Eastman House in Rochester, and he does a lot of film festivals. He's worked at the San Francisco Silent Film Festival, and he's done work at Pordenone in Italy. So we have two great people for sure. We're very, very lucky to have them. If you've never seen a silent movie with live music, it will definitely be a great experience, and it's definitely going to stick with you. Um, it is so much fun to, especially if you're really close to the piano, when
Mhm.
the first chord strikes, it like kind of goes through you. It's great. It's great fun.
Now, are they playing scores that would have originally toured with the movies, or did they create their own scores, or is it a combination?
It's highly improvised. They do sometimes bring cue sheets or little pieces. We always tell them ahead of time what we're screening, so they can kind of do research ahead of time. I'm trying to think of an instance where it was necessary. Sometimes you'll get a film, maybe a Harold Lloyd, where he starts singing a song to the girl in the movie. I don't know, Harold Lloyd, that just came to my mind. I can't think of an example. But, you'll have maybe a little bit of music. I think a good example would be Little Annie Rooney with Mary Pickford.
Mhm.
There is this little part where William Haynes starts singing Little Annie Rooney is my sweetheart, and a little bit of he's singing a real song. So the pianist might get that sheet music and play a little bit of that
Oh,
melody,
nice.
you know. But it's their choice. They make these scores themselves on the spot. So a lot of it is improvised, but they might bring, a cue sheet or something. I want to play a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Nice. Well, I'm really looking forward to hearing them, and hopefully, I will get a chance to actually meet it and talk to them themselves and talk to them about this because I think it's just a little bit of almost a lost art, I guess, at this point, because
Mhm.
we are what 60, 70, 80, 90 years on from when this was like the thing. So
Mhm.
that's really amazing that someone's still carrying this tradition forward, and hopefully they can instill it in others to keep it going.
Yeah, and I would definitely encourage you to approach them and talk to them. They're both very nice people. They're super knowledgeable. And that's another thing about our convention that I just want to praise so much is that everyone is so approachable and so many people have so much knowledge to offer.
Mhm.
There are people that have worked at the Library of Congress that come, and there are people who, have done private film restoration for years. I don't know if you know the animation company Thunderbean Animation, but Steve Stanchfield comes to the show and sells his DVDs and Blu-rays. But he's like one of the nicest people you ever meet. So everybody's pretty approachable and kind and excited to meet other people who are also enthusiastic about this stuff.
Oh, maybe I can find some more Evelyn Brent fans.
Oh, absolutely, you could.
She is like a kind of a patron saint of orphan entertainment. We absolutely adore her.
I have another friend. I don't know if he's coming this year, but he is also an avid fan of hers. I should get you guys together.
So, what are some of the things that you feel that anyone attending the festival just can't skip?
In terms of the movies or
In general, there's
in
you
general?
said there's so much that there that you can't get it all. But so, is there anything that you just would say you have to do this if you're going?
I would say some of the things that we're sort of known for, the annual animation program on Saturday morning, it usually fills up. The room will be at capacity for that. It tends to be pretty popular. I would say go see at least one silent movie. There's a movie that we're showing this year that was considered to be lost up until a couple of years ago. It was found, a show at home print was found in a private collection, and we're going to be showing that print. So it's the only known print of this movie called Taxi Taxi from 1927. It stars Marion Nixon and Edward Everett Horton, so it's a comedy,
Oh, fun! Yeah.
and it'll be introduced by Laura Gerald, who just recently, or I don't know if it's out yet, but it's coming out, and she'll have copies to buy if you're interested of her book on Marion Nixon. So she'll be introducing that film too.
Excellent.
Um, I'm trying to. So some of the movies that I am excited to see audience reactions for on Thursday night, we're showing a movie called Idea Girl, and one of our longtime attendees will be introducing it with a little presentation on Arthur Q. Bryan, who most people will know as Elmer Fudd's voice. He has a role in this as himself, where he sings a song, and it's great fun. So I can't wait to see people's reaction to that. Um, One of the staples of Cinevent for me was always seeing a Lloyd Nolan film. He
Hmm.
did the Michael Shane series, and he's so charming and he's so fun. I just adore him. So that became sort of something that I really tried to continue on. This year we're showing two of his movies, Johnny Apollo, and a movie called The Man Who Wouldn't Talk. And I've
Hmm.
never seen that one, so I'm very much looking forward to that. But I think everybody should, if you're gonna come, look at the film program. This is what I used to do when I was just an attendee. I would sort of star all the things that I couldn't miss, and then I would have to keep an eye on the clock because it's
Yep.
so easy to just get chatting and then miss the start times.
Yeah. No.
But
Absolutely. I am looking forward to a couple films, I think, in particular. I know you're having someone come in and introduce this one, the 1927 Greta Garbo film, Love.
uh-huh, that's a great one.
Yeah, I have not seen the film, but with with you got the, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have the name right in front of me. Who's coming?
Scott Racefield.
Right. Thank you. Coming in and kind of doing an introduction to the film and everything. Very interested in seeing that. And then being, I mean, Boris Karloff, a fan of his for years, love so many of his films. So seeing him in The Man Who Lived Again from 1936 will definitely be a must see for me.
Yeah, and there was the Dick Tracy meets Gruesome right after that, which
Hmm.
was another Boris Karloff. It's out there, the movie's out there, but it's just so fun. Like that's another thing I want to emphasize is even if you've seen the movies before and you think, oh, it's what's the big whoop about seeing an audience with people who are laughing? Like we show Laurel and Hardy short. And when you watch them at home, you might get a little chuckle of amusement. I'm not a loud laugher at home, but when you're in a group of people who are just letting loose, it is so much more fun.
Oh,
It's a
absolutely.
great time.
It's that experience. It's being in the room with all those things with the people. It's why it's that's the point of going to the theater for me. It isn't so much to see the film, it's to see the film in that environment, in a group environment where everyone kind of plays and bounces off of each other, whether it's a drama, a comedy.
Yeah, yeah, you get it.
Yeah. All right. So if people want to learn more about the festival and how to attend, where should they go?
Our website is columbusmovingpictureshow.com. Our email address is columbusmovingpictureshow@gmail.com. And I am the one who answers that, and I try to keep on top of it. So if you have any questions, please send them my way. We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we have a podcast and we have a blog.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to mention your companion podcast, the Columbus Moving Picture Show podcast, which is hosted by yourself. I think that's a really great way to learn more about the festival, and whether you're attending or not, you can hear from some of the people involved and some of the guests that are going to be present at the show. So that's been really great. I've really enjoyed listening to that in the last couple months.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, I am looking forward to meeting you in person. I am so looking forward to this show, and I have a sneaking suspicion that this is going to be a yearly event for me.
Oh, good. Yeah, I can't wait to meet you.
I want to thank you very much for taking some time out of your afternoon to speak with me about the show. And I guess I will let you go and get back to your planning and all the work that I'm sure is still going on for this. Just mention real quick, it is Memorial Day weekend, 2026. So that's the 21st to the 24th of May, correct?
Yes, at the Crown Plaza North in Columbus, Ohio.
Excellent. Well, Samantha, thank you very much. Really a pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you. You too.
I once again want to thank Samantha for giving me some time to talk about the Columbus Moving Picture Show. I'm looking forward to this even more than I was before. I hope to see you all there. If you see me, I'm going to be wearing either a t-shirt or a button that says Orphaned Entertainment. Feel free to stop me and we can talk about some old movies. Looking forward to it. Until then, bye.